Hey, what's up, guys? Cody here with C3D TV, and today I'm just going to give you guys my final thoughts on the Alfawise U20 that was sent to me from GearBest. And first and foremost, I do just want to let you guys know that I did receive this printer for free, but I am here to give my honest opinions. I cannot be bought. These are my true opinions of the printer, and they are all based off my experience with it. So yeah, let's get started, and we're going to jump right in. So first I'm just going to kind of do a couple of pros and cons with this printer, and I'm going to start with the pros. Probably one of my favorite things about this printer is that it is 98% built out of the box. I am not a super huge fan of kits. I see their place, but I think most people are looking for something that they can open and put together and be printing in a relatively short period. And this entire setup took me about 10 minutes from opening the box to screwing everything together and starting that initial print, which is fantastic. The second pro would be that this is a 24 volt system. And for those of you that don't know, a lot of printers come in 12 volt or 24 volt. And this being the 24 volt means that this large build platform heats up significantly faster than if it was a 12 volt. And if you've had a CR10 or a CR10S, you'll know that those are 12 volt systems and can take quite a while to heat the heated bed up to about 60 C, where this just takes a couple of minutes, which is really nice when you're just trying to get a print going and not wanting to wait around. The other thing is this bed is removable. You have your four little binder clips, and you can remove it to try to scrape that print off the bed or pop it off without worrying about drawing the frame or something like that that a lot of printers don't have. This also comes with sleeved cables. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the piping sleeving, but any sleeving is better than no sleeving. Also, one of the things that I've noticed in the Alfawise U20 Facebook group is they are actively releasing firmware updates for this printer. It seems like they're doing it about once a month, and yeah, so kind of those are probably the initial pros for this printer uh, right off the bat. Also, it does have the touchscreen. A lot of people like that. It's not particularly my thing, so I don't really count it as a pro. I'm actually counting the touchscreen as a con for this printer. It's very basic and good for new users, but I don't really like that. I think they should have included more menu options in the touchscreen to allow us to customize more things on the printer without having to try to hook this up to a computer and doing a lot of fine-tune adjustments and stuff like that over the printer. Also, if you guys notice, the bed that I have on this is not the original glass. The original glass that came with this printer had a Alfawise branded like BuildTak type mat on the glass, and mine was not flat, which isn't a big deal, so I don't want to harp on it too much. But the problem that I had was there was a deep valley in the center of that glass, so getting the print level so I could get a acceptable first layer was very difficult, and I just decided to take it off. I had a spare piece of glass sitting around, so I replaced it, and now I use glue stick, and that's the way I prefer to print. Anyway, also, I know I said that they're releasing new firmware for this printer, but they are using a proprietary closed source firmware. And I am not a fan of any company right now that is doing that. And I personally don't understand why these 3D printer companies from China are choosing to go with a proprietary in-house, more or less beta firmware on their printers and moving away from Marlin. In fact, you can check it out. Me and Tim from THW Studio just did a live stream, and we touched on this subject on some of the bad or questionable decisions that these 3D printer companies from China are making, and our thoughts on that. So I'll put a link to that video in the description below if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, so it's using a proprietary board, proprietary firmware. So if you're trying to mod this printer, that's really not going to happen with their proprietary firmware, and you'd have to do a board swap and then convert over to Marlin, which would probably not be that hard. Also, this bed does not have a cable strain relief. So that would be one of the first things that I would recommend printing for this printer, is a strain relief to make sure that your cables don't wear and come disconnected from your heated bed. And then the only other issue, and the last con that I have for this printer, is the included micro SD card. For one, I think it should just be a regular SD card. They're so much easier to handle. You don't feel like you're going to lose them when you're trying to shove them inside a little slot. But this has a micro SD card, and it worked. And I commended them in my initial thoughts video for having like 14 different test files on it, and I still do. I think that's great. But my problem arose when I tried to load my own G-code to print something using Simplify 3D or Cura onto their included SD card, and it was causing the printer to freeze, the firmware to crash, the screen would go black, it would start filling up the percentage bar, nothing was moving, nothing was heating up. And I jumped into the U20 Facebook group and asked a couple questions, and everyone pretty much said, hey, the SD card they include is not good, it causes this problem, get a new one and it'll fix it. So I ran to the store, grabbed a cheap micro SD card, loaded up the G-code, put it in, and it worked like a charm since. So that's really frustrating, kind of a weird problem to have. And I don't think people should be having that issue. I think that's something that Alfawise should fix, for sure. Overall, my thoughts on this printer are, it's good. And at the price point, right now you can get this printer on GearBest for right around $280 in the US. And that is cheaper than the CR10. That is cheaper than other printers in this competition. And for that price, if you're looking to not mod, you're just looking to buy a stock printer, not spend a whole lot of money, jump into the hobby, I do think this is a good printer to buy. I think for 280 bucks, it's really hard to beat. The build quality is nice, the print quality is good, and you're overall getting a good package for that price. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to say. You can see the test prints I did up front, and everything came out relatively nice. I have about 75 hours printed on this printer. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions or comments on the Alfawise U20 or something else that you want to see, you guys can leave a comment below. Appreciate it if you like this video. And subscribe if you haven't. That's it. Have a good day.